So I'm rewatching Reba because I'm tapping into some old shows and I want to do character opinions for these characters because I fucking hate that it's a joke that Barbara Jean stole Brock and like it's just, oh, Reba's supposed to accept it and be okay with it and all that shit. No, that's not okay. In the whole series, it's a big joke. If I were Reba, I would be so fucking depressed and contemplating suicide on a regular basis because my entire family thinks it's a joke. But anyway, so let's start with the main woman in charge herself. Queen. Reba. So, I loved her character. I actually did feel like there were some times where she was a little self-involved, but it was mainly when it came to, like, knowing best about her kids, which honestly, majority of the time, she did know best about her kids. But, still, it was like that entitled parent moments. Either way, she was a great parent. She was a great housekeeper. Not housekeeper, but, like, homemaker. I can't believe how dirty they did her in this show. And this was Reba's show. Like, I'm pretty sure she created it. And I felt like that character was shit on the most by everyone. These people who claim to be her family and love her and all of that. I feel like they shit on her the most. And that's the part that was like, that feels the most like heart-wrenching is it's her family. It's your family that does it the most. I could never allow Brock back into my life. Not after all that shit. And especially him moving across the street with his fucking side piece. And there's a whole moment where there's an episode where she's like, she thinks they had an affair before the marriage. And it was no, like before they got divorced, it was no, we never did. They leave it at that, but then the entire series, they joke about how he did cheat on Reba with her. And I'm just like, how is this just so ongoing? I feel like Reba was done so dirty in this show. It was just like, it was a smack in the face, I think. But anyway, next up, we're gonna do Brock. I hate him. I think he's probably the most entitled fucking character on the show. He's trash. Or actually, no, he's the second most entitled character on the show. He's trash. He's selfish, self-involved, spoiled by both women, by all of the women in his life. Like, this man has a god complex, and it's disgusting. Like, personally, I think Brock is such trash. And I know there's, like, this scene where they're talking about his, like, not scene, an episode or a couple episodes where they're talking about his depression, and the depression is probably why he cheated on Reba and why he married Barbra Jean. So now, at this point, you're feeling bad for Barbra Jean because she was used by him. He's the fucking problem. Like, they even show you that Reba and Barbra Jean were friends before she slept with fucking Brock. Reba liked her first. Reba was the one that wanted to hire her. So just the simple fact that Brock, in my opinion, manipulated Barbra Jean into sleeping with him. Because when they first started the show, Barbra Jean was super innocent. Like, super dumb innocent. Not innocent, but, like, special. In the sense of, like, oh, honey special, you know? And then they play on to the fact that she's a giant whore, and giant this, a giant that. That wasn't how it started, though. That really wasn't how it started. But, alright, cool. I really do feel like Brock manipulated her, but she was still a bad person in general. Besides for, like, them doing that episode where Brock basically says that he never should have married her because he was depressed and blah, blah, blah. That's the only time I really felt bad for Barbra Jean. So now, let's go on to Barbra Jean. Her character irks my soul to the point where I want to stop watching the show after every episode that she's in. Like, her personality is too overhyped for me. She thinks the whole world revolves around her. Everything has to be about her. And then when Reba gets some attention, it's gotta be me. It's gotta be me. Because you have a family. You stole her family. You stole her family. Like the grandmother pageant. Barbara Jean is technically not a grandmother. Yes, she's a step-grandmother, but that spot belonged to Reba. And I don't want to hear, oh, well, she let her do it because she never won a pageant before. Reba never won a pageant before either. Like, just because Barbara Jean's a fucking liar. I don't know. I have no sympathy for her, except for the one episode I was just talking about. And I understand Brock is an asshole, and he uses her, and all this other shit, but you kind of brought it on yourself, sleeping with a man in a relationship, and married man, and I know this for a fact. But anyway, so let's go to our next character. So next up is Cheyenne. Cheyenne was a high school student who got pregnant by her boyfriend Van, and they got married early because that's what they thought was right. And they moved into Reba's home because Van's parents kicked him out, and Brock technically didn't have a fucking home at the time because he's trash. But I think Reba did the right thing letting them move in. I think she did the right thing letting them get married, purely because that's what they wanted to do, and they felt like that was the right thing for their family. If they didn't want to do it, it's completely understandable both ways. Now, Cheyenne, I think, has grown a lot as a person and a character. She was very ditzy and blonde, if you know what I mean. I was born blonde. We can't have this conversation. Anyway, in the start of the series, but then as the series progressed, she got very less self-involved and more, she started working at a homeless shelter. Like, she wanted to be a dentist to help people, and I think also to make her father proud, which I don't think anyone should ever try to make that man proud. I think they should have X'd him out a long time ago. But anyway. And she's even respectful to Barbara Jean, and she lets Barbara Jean babysit Elizabeth, which is her daughter. But anyway. I think Cheyenne has definitely grown a lot as a character on this show, and I think it's great. So now we're gonna jump to Van. I love Van. I'm sorry, but he is the comedy that the show needs. He's that lighthearted, goofy husband that everyone wants. He tries his best to be a supportive father, husband, everything. I think he could probably be a little bit more involved in Elizabeth's care. I don't see him that much interacting with her after she was like a baby. But I think that's really just because the show kind of didn't show her after a while. They'd mention her, but they'd barely show her. Yeah, I think Van is definitely what the show needed as a comedic take. He was so funny, so charming, and goofy, adorable. Became a real estate agent with Reba, and supported his family after his career, like his football career, ended. This man stayed loyal to his wife and his kid and his family. Like, it was adorable. I just think he's like such a good, well, he's a little stupid, little special sometimes. And by special, I mean like the oh honey special, where everything they say just makes you want to go oh honey, and you want to give them a hug and just say it's okay, because there's nothing like, do you know what I mean? Like on How I Met Your Mother with Katy Perry's character. Yeah. Anyway, next character. So this is the last part if you're watching this on TikTok, but to continue the Reba characters, we're going to do the last two children, which is, what is her name? Kyra and Jake. Wow, I'm stupid, and I'm literally watching the show. Anyway, Kyra, they make it seem like she was hit the worst by her father's betrayal, but I don't think she was. She moved in with her father for a little while, and then she went on tour with her band. I'm wondering why she left the show initially. Like, she disappeared for a while because she was on tour with her band, but then she does come back. But it's still like, this is a teenage girl who they let go on tour with her band. Suspicious. But anyway, I think Kyra's sarcastic humor was always good to have around. It was always fun to see. I definitely think she had that middle child syndrome where they forgot about her a lot. It was kind of just like, she's there, she's snickery, there you go. And now Jake. I think Jake was actually hit the hardest by his father's betrayal. And the reason I say this is because you can see it a lot, especially when Brock, like, goes to do something else or goes to see Henry, his last fucking son. Especially with the next boy coming into the picture. It was just like, oh, okay. You have a whole other son now. You have no time for me. You see it a lot in the early seasons, especially when it came to the camping episode, or when Brock might be moving to Vegas. Like, Brock doesn't think about Jake. And I think Jake sees that, and he shows the emotion sometimes, but he also pushes past it and forgets it because his dad's still there, or his dad comes back, and it's just like, oh, okay. But I actually think Jake was probably hit the hardest by his father's betrayal. And the simple fact that when he had another kid, it turned out to be a boy. And you could say, oh, well, you can't choose the gender of a baby. No, you can't, but to your less than 10-year-old son, it's like, oh, you have a whole new wife and a whole new son, you don't need me anymore. That's what it felt like. But that is it for the main cast of Reba. What are your thoughts on these characters? Please comment, like, or subscribe, and let me know what you think. And thanks so much for watching.